Members, I represent an awesome district and I have a lot to be proud of, but one of the things that I'm most proud of is Taylor Guitars. And today we have with us Barbara Wight. She's the Chief Financial Officer of Taylor Guitars in El Cajon. And I just want to take a moment to talk about Taylor Guitars because there were two high school buddies that were born and raised in San Diego, in El Cajon area, and they had a love for music and they had a love for craftsmanship. And nobody in my district has supported CTE training more than they have. And nobody's done more for the community as far as jobs and offering opportunities to young people, and not just in my district, but around the world. And so in 1974, they were founded, and they scrimped and saved, and they bought a store on El Cajon Boulevard. It was a little store, it was run down, the roof leaked, and they turned that into the top, most premier guitar company in the world. And when we later learned about what some chemicals can do to the environment, we changed the rules and regulations and how we address those issues because we didn't want to hurt the environment, and that's a good thing. But it would have put Taylor Guitars out of business, except for the owner said, can you give me 6 months to work on a solution? So he came up with a proprietary idea that allows them to continue to manufacture world-class guitars here in the United States, here in California, in my backyard, and never once hurting the environment. That is an excellent example of government working in the right direction. Any regulatory agency could have come in and said, we want to shut you down, it's got to be today, but they understood why. So they have over 450 employees in my district. They have over 1,200 employees around the world. But let me tell you just real quickly what they're doing today. In the African country of Cameroon, Taylor Guitars is the co-owner of Ebony Sawmill, which is engaged in a new model of social forestry, providing wood that is ethically and sustainably harvested for various industries. They're planting more than they're taking in down for guitars. They're doing more for these people that are exceptionally poor. They're guaranteeing that they have fresh water for the first time in their lives. They're changing the world. And these two guys who started this, Bob and Kurt, they just wanted to make a quality guitar because they liked music. And now it's led to them changing the world for the better. And they couldn't do it without Barbara, because Barbara is the Chief Financial Officer. She's been an essential part of the Taylor Guitar leadership team. She's used her talents, passion, and go-getter spirit to maintain the company's successful, world-leading manufacturers of a premium acoustic guitar. And I'm going to share one last story, because this is a kind of a private story. You know, we have a lot of Marines, a lot of service members in my district, and many of them have come back broken. They've come back physically and mentally and emotionally injured. And we had one corporal who had a severe case of PTSD, and he saw that many of his colleagues were in the same shape, but he had a love for music. And so he created a music group where they all worked together through their PTSD, singing and learning to play their instruments. And his lifelong dream was, look, I'm not a big music guy, so I have to look to make sure I say the name right. Jason Mraz. Mraz. I just proved it again.
You're very hip, Senator.
So he wanted one of those guitars. These are elite guitars, very few in the world. Everybody wants to have one of these guitars. And one of the military groups are helping all these nonprofits helping the military through PTSD issues, came to me and said, hey, do you know if they'd be interested in donating? So I called over to Bob and Kurt and I said, you know what, I know it's an expensive guitar, but they're really trying to help this guy because he's done so much for his colleagues. And before I could finish saying it, they said, absolutely, count us in. So this young man wanted to work with me on veterans issues, and he came in, and we had him in my office. He had no idea that Bob and Kurt were there to present him with this guitar. It was one of the most emotional scenes. Of course, I'm a softie. I got choked up. But everybody in that room was sobbing by the time it was over. This young man, this corporal, was just an incredible guy. But he I mean, that just made it. That made his life. It was a bucket list item. But I am eternally grateful on behalf of my constituents for what Taylor Guitar does for our community and does for our youth and does for our military. So join me in welcoming Barbara. And come on down and get a photo with her, because she's a dynamite woman.
Ladies and gentlemen of the California State Senate, let's offer a warm welcome to Taylor Guitars and their CFO, Barbara Wight.